The time is precisely 6:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Dulvin Samarasinghe and read by Ramesh Pires. First, the headlines. The President instructs officials to develop the Elder Tourist Zone. The Prime Minister says the government will strengthen the social security network. The Minister of Education says the social system change can be brought about through education. France, a member of the Paris Club, is in talks with Sri Lanka's creditors. The Navy intercepts fishing craft with more than 200 kilograms of heroin and ice off the southern seas. In news overseas, Russian forces fire missiles and carry out drone attacks across Ukraine. In sports football, Croatia and Morocco square up in the third place playoffs. Now the local news in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has instructed the officials to develop Elder Tourist Zone. He asked the authorities to prepare a plan to be implemented in collaboration with the Ministries of Tourism, Urban Development and Environment within 4 months. These instructions were given during a discussion with the Elder Business Association held at Flower Gardens Hotel today. The President pointed out the need to develop the tourist zone under a proper and formal plan. He further highlighted the importance of engaging in constructions without destroying the natural beauty of the area. Action will be taken to develop the Elder Tourist Zone initially. Later it will be expanded to make the entire Uva province a tourist destination. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that the government would take action to strengthen the social security network in the near future. International Monetary Fund has already confirmed that it would provide the necessary support. The Prime Minister expressed this at a gathering of public representatives held at the Dehiwala Gakesa Municipal Council premises on Thursday. He further said that the government has made allocations from the budget to facilitate the social security network continually in spite of the prevailing crisis. In the face of the economic crisis, the government had to keep the financial investments of the whole country under strict control. It resulted in loss of income for many of the public institutions, including the local government institutions. The Premier said the government expects a positive change in these aspects from next year, January. Several decisions regarding these issues had already been taken by the President. The Prime Minister further expressed confidence that the innovations faced by the local government institutions would be minimized. Minister Susil Premjayat says the social system change expected by youth can be brought about through education. He said this at the first ever bilateral symposium on education held at Colombo today. In the year 2020-2021, the schools were closed for 15% of the scheduled school days due to the pandemic and the economic crisis that ensued. The authorities have already been asked to provide a report on the impact of these closures. He further said that education should be digitized and added that action will be taken to fill the existing 5,800 vacancies of principals. The minister further expressed that drug addiction is prevalent among school children that has become a critical issue. Hence, he said drug prevention programs will be implemented in the schools from next year. France, a member of the Paris Club, is in talks with Sri Lanka's creditors in an attempt to ensure a solution is reached for the present financial crisis. Newly appointed French ambassador to Sri Lanka, Jean-François Paquin, told journalists last evening that an immediate solution will be in the best interest of everyone. He said that loans from France to Sri Lanka were placed on standby owing to Sri Lanka defaulting on its foreign debt. However, the envoy asserted that loans will resume once again when the crisis in Sri Lanka is resolved. He said the Paris Club has been working proactively since last August on the Sri Lankan issue. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news. 2 multi-day fishing crafts were intercepted with more than 200 kilograms of heroin and ice by the Navy of the Southern Seas. The Navy has apprehended 6 suspects along with a drug haul in a joint operation conducted by Sri Lanka Navy, Police Narcotics Bureau and State Intelligence Service on Wednesday. India's rupee trade settlement mechanism, a means of using rupees instead of dollars and other big currencies for international transactions, is attracting interest from more countries. Tajikistan, Cuba, Luxembourg and Sudan have begun talking to India about using the mechanism, according to officials' document reviewed by Reuters. It has already been used by Russia following the imposition of sanctions on Moscow over the Ukraine war. The Reserve Bank of India set up the mechanism in July. The four countries have shown interest in opening special rupee accounts called Vostro accounts. Opening of these accounts needs approval from the Reserve Bank of India. Mauritius and Sri Lanka have already shown interest and have seen their special Vostro accounts approved by the RBI. Colombo Fort Magistrate Tilina Gamage today rejected a request made by State Minister Sanat Nishant that his travel ban to be temporarily lifted, enabling him to go abroad. The country had imposed travel bans on had imposed travel ban on Sanat Nishant in connection with the incidents that took place at Temple Trees and Golface on the 9th of May this year. Venerable Talava Dhammikatero, Secretary of the Students' Federation of Buddhist and Pali University, has been arrested in connection with a ragging incident. He was arrested by the Homagama police. Dhammikatero has been remanded until December 27th after being produced before the Homagama Magistrates Court. And that concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to the main news story. The Macroeconomic Policy and Financing Development section of the United Nations SCAP has confirmed that the support given to Sri Lanka for the development of innovative financing capacity in order to achieve sustainable development goals will be continued. State Minister of Finance Shehan Semasinga said this after a discussion held at the Ministry of Finance, Economic Stabilization and National Policy with the delegation of the United Nations SCAP Macroeconomic Policy and Financing Development Division and representatives of the Luxembourg Green Stock Exchange. And that came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
Let's celebrate Christmas and New Year with CIB with special gifts, discounts and easy payment schemes available till 31st of December. Come to CIB today.
In Watchlight this evening, Communications Department of Parliament said applications have been called to select youth representatives to represent the sectoral oversight committees to be established in Parliament. The sectoral oversight committees are to be established pertaining to 17 subject areas with the participation of parliamentarians representing all political parties in Parliament. Applications prepared in accordance with the specimen mentioned in the advertisement should be sent under registered cover along with the copies of certificates of professional education and experience to reach the Secretary-General of Parliament on or before January 9th of 2023. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Let's celebrate Christmas and New Year with CIB with special gifts, discounts and easy payment schemes available till 31st of December. Come to CIB today.
World News, brought to you by courtesy of
We give you the strength to rise higher and higher.
Never step back, but always march forward.
Empowering you to reach greater heights. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Moving on to the bulletin of world news. First, the headlines. Russian forces fire missiles and carry out drone attacks across Ukraine. 2 dead, including children, at Lyon, France. Berlin's giant aquarium explodes. Now the world news in detail. Russian forces fired 60 missiles and carried out drone attacks across Ukraine today, striking the capital Kiev and cities in the north, south and west. 2 people were killed and 5 wounded when a residential building was hit in Kharkiv in central Ukraine. Attacks have intensified this week as Russian targets Ukraine's civilian infrastructure. Power was completely down in Kharkiv, in the north and several other regions. 10 people, including 5 children, have been killed in a fire in an apartment building near Lyon, France. Officials released a statement saying a sizable fire broke out in a 7-story block of flats in Bolavin. 4 people are in a critical condition and 10 others reported minor injuries, including 2 firefighters. The fire has been extinguished. A giant aquarium containing 1 million liters of water in the lobby of the Radisson Blu in Berlin has burst, flooding the hotel and nearby streets. The aquarium, home to 1,500 tropical fish, is 14 meters high and was described as the largest freestanding cylindrical aquarium in the world. Police said there had been incredible maritime damage and 2 people were injured by glass shards. To end this bulletin of world news, the headlines once again. Russian forces fire missiles and carry out drone attacks across Ukraine. 10 dead, including children at Lyon fire in France. And Berlin giant Aquadome aquarium explodes. And that concludes World News.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
Amidst all challenges, we will rally around you and advance.
In the face of hardships, let's stand strong together.
Empowering you to reach greater heights. People's Listening, the trusted leader.
Development News.
Moving on to development news. Yakdong Industries, which is one of the 10 leading companies in Korea, has invested $50 million to establish a large-scale container manufacturing factory in Trincomalee. Chairman Heng Sok-pon and Vice Chairman Kwang Won-shin of Yakdong Industries met Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. They assured construction of the factory will be completed soon to commence production within the next 6 months. The factory will be established across a 50-acre site in Trincomalee and they expect the production is 10,000 containers per month. And that was development news. Moving on to sports news, football, as Croatia and Morocco pick up the pieces after their World Cup semi-final defeats, the 2 teams will welcome the prospect of potentially leaving Qatar on a high when they square up in the 3rd place playoff tomorrow. Beating 2 world-class teams in Argentina and France to reach the final proved to be a step too far for Croatia and Morocco, who handsomely defied pro-tournament odds to reach the semis. Morocco rewrote history when the fearless squad became the first African team to reach the last 4 of football's showpiece event. They will be welcomed home as heroes, regardless of the result, having not only earned the respect and support of the continent in the Arab world, but also having found a place in the hearts of neutral fans who love a true underdog story. Croatia and Morocco will face off in Qatar for the 2nd time after playing out a 0-0 draw in their group opener. And that was sports news.
The fastest way to earn the highest interest. An interest rate of 22% in 4 months. NSB, the safest place for your money.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, Sri Lankan Airlines received an international award for their upcycle waste management project, Mataka. Project Mataka won the prestigious Best Aviation Sustainability Program Award at the Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Global Aviation Awards, beating 118 other submissions. Through Mataka, Sri Lankan is able to avert discarded waste material of nearly 16 tons from going to landfill and minimize the consequential long-term negative impact on the environment. And that was business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The fastest way to earn the highest interest. An interest rate of 22% in 4 months. NSB, the safest place for your money.
Economic News, courtesy of
LONC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LONC Finance claims the overall gold award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking.
In economic news, People's Bank's Enterprise Banking Department has initiated People's Spark, which is a special entrepreneurship development program targeted at graduates. This program offers the opportunity for young graduates to start their own enterprises under guidance from People's Bank. The bank also provides a special loan scheme and a feedback mechanism for those budding entrepreneurs. And that was the economic news. And next is the weather report.
LONC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 goals at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall Gold Award whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LOLC Finance will continue to innovate with the next generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience.
Weather report.
And finally, moving on to the weather report, the Met Department says a showery condition is expected to enhance in the northern, north central and eastern provinces of the island in the next few days. Showers will occur at times in the eastern and Ua provinces and in the Polonnaruwa, Matale and Hambantota districts. Showers or thundershowers will occur at few places in the western and Sabaragama provinces and in the Gol and Matara districts during the night. And that was the weather report, and in this news broadcast, a recap of the main news headlines. The President instructs officials to develop the Ella Tourist Zone. The Prime Minister says the government will strengthen the social security network. The Minister of Education says the social system change can be brought about through education. France, a part of the Paris Club, is in talks with Sri Lanka's creditors. The Navy intercepts fishing craft with more than 200 kilograms of heroin and ice off the southern seas. And France is in talks with Sri Lanka's creditors. In news overseas, Russian forces fire missiles and carry out drone attacks across Ukraine. And in football, Croatia and Morocco square up in the third place playoff. And with that, we conclude this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.